welcome to the Rime Buddhist Center's Dharma Talk podcast, Achieving Peace Through Compassion. This podcast is a recording of the Dharma Talks given during our Sunday service.
Today, we're going to talk about being in the past and being in the future instead of being present. We did a Vipassana meditation today, and I once asked one of my teachers, I said, what's the difference between shamatha and Vipassana? Because it wasn't clear to me. And what he said to me was, in shamatha, you focus on an object. And in Vipassana, you focus on a process. Object versus process. And hearing that was really meaningful to me. So last week when my friend Nicole was leading, we did a shamatha practice for those of you that were here. And today we did a Vipassana practice. And I think that's the real difference. But now I'm going to tell you about Michael Jordan. I hope you don't hate pop culture references. So I once read an interview with Michael Jordan, and the interviewer asked him, do you get nervous when you're getting ready to make a shot? Do you get anxious? Do you get afraid that you're going to miss? And Michael Jordan said, why would I think about a shot I haven't made yet? Why would I think about a shot I haven't made yet? Because he was fully present. That's why Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. I think that because I'm 45 years old. I also think Jay-Z is the greatest rapper of all time. I also think Robin Williams is the greatest comedian of all time. It's all because I'm 45 years old. But why would I think about a shot I haven't made yet? That was really meaningful to me. And I'm going to read to you a quote from this book, Meditation for Modern Madness. The author, Dzogchen Rinpoche, he says, and I quote, when we stop dwelling on the past and future, 2/3 of our stress, 2/3 of our distractions, and 2/3 of our thoughts will subside by themselves. I'm going to read that again. When we stop dwelling on the past and the future, 2/3 of our stress, 2/3 of our distractions, and 2/3 of our thoughts will subside by themselves. I really like that message. I like the idea of 2/3 of my stress going away. There's this book on meditation that's really popular called 10% Happier, and I did not buy that book because I thought to myself, if I'm only going to be 10% happier, I might as well walk into the ocean now. That's not enough. That's not enough, you guys. 10% is just a little bit, right? So, but 2/3, that's where it's at. So this is something we all do a lot, dwelling in the past and dwelling in the future. When I'm worried about what's going to happen, that's me dwelling in the future. And when I'm worried about the past and obsessing about what did or didn't happen, or why things happened the way they did, that's dwelling in the past. And we think of these as two really separate things, but I wonder if they come from the same place. So dwelling in the past is not the opposite of dwelling in the future. It's really just different ways to not be present here. And also, if I'm thinking the future will be better than today, that's dwelling in the future, right? I personally, my house, I've been trying to sell my house. I'm finally selling it. Oh, have you heard this before? And my house was on the market for over 100 days. And so I was spending all this time thinking, oh, when the house sells, then I can relax, right? Then I can be happy. Then I can have money. Then I can do the things I want to do. Is when the house finally sells, then things are going to be better. And that kind of thinking has stopped me from enjoying anything that's happening now because I'm thinking, oh, then that's when I can relax. I'm reminded of the film As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson. The title of the film comes from a line in the film. He's a guy with some issues, and he's in a therapist office, and he sees the people waiting to see the therapist, and he says, do you guys know it? He says, what if this is as good as it gets? What if this is as good as it gets? And that sort of is meaningful to me because it reminds me I don't want to have destination addiction. I don't want to have that experience where I'm just thinking about, oh, when this happens, then I'll be able to do what I want. Then, when I can retire, then I can relax. Some people don't get to retire, but I think that then I can do the things I want. Then I can relax when I retire, finally, right? And there's some turmoil happening. There's always turmoil happening, I guess. And I'm not here to talk about my job a whole lot, except to say that there's a lot of uncertainty going on with my jobs, and that when I'm worried about that, and when I'm thinking, oh no, what's going to happen next? I don't know. That's dwelling in the future, and it's not serving me. A state of mind that serves me is telling myself, right now it's like this. What can I do? Right now it's like this. What can I do? That's serving me way better than thinking, what's going to happen? Is my job going to get harder? Is my job going to get eliminated? Because I don't know. But right now it's like this. I'm faced with what I'm faced with, and I've just got to figure out what I can do in this time rather than what will happen, because I don't know. So, like I said, dwelling in the past and the future are basically the same thing. It's this, I've heard before someone said, hate isn't the opposite of love. Indifference is the opposite of love. And I think the same way, dwelling in the future is not the opposite of dwelling in the past. Rather, those are the same. Dwelling in the here and now is the opposite. And when we're thinking about the past, we aren't enjoying life right now. And when we're thinking about the future, we aren't enjoying life right now. So, okay, here's the part of my talk where I overshare. I'll just do it a little bit though. Um, this girl that was popular in high school reached out to me and started talking to me, and that was kind of nice. Nothing happened, but I realized as I was talking to this girl, for the record, I was not popular in high school. I realized as I was talking to this girl, who thinks I'm just amazing now, but never noticed me in high school, of course, I realized that I was sort of wanting a better past. And I was talking to this girl and enjoying this attention because I was thinking to myself, oh, if I get the popular girl from high school, then the narrative of my life is different, right? It's like a Hallmark movie. I've won at life if I get this girl. And I realized I was wishing for a better past. That's not a way to live your life. That's not a way to live your life. Um, so I only realized that because of my meditation practice, because I've worked to understand my mind. When we start to pay attention, we really realize how not present we are. Um, I don't know when we were doing those meditations if you notice like a lot of daydreaming and things going on, but I always do. Our minds are hardly ever present in this moment, and that can even happen when the moment is good. I can't relax so that I can enjoy the simple things in life because my mind is somewhere else. I'm thinking about something else. So, another quote from this book, Meditation for Modern Madness, Dzogchen Rinpoche says, and I quote, most people don't bother to know their mind and they just keep following it blindly. Whatever their mind says, they follow it. When you start to know your mind, you'll begin to spot how tricky it is. So, my mind always wants to go to the future. Sometimes my mind wants to go to the past. I'm usually more dwelling in the future myself, but I don't want to blindly follow my mind. I want to decide where my mind is going to go if I can. So he goes on to say, we worry too much. We worry all the time about things that have happened in the past and what might happen in the future. We create so much distraction by allowing our thoughts to dwell in the past and worry about the future. These thoughts are like thieves that rob us of our focus. I would say they rob us of our joy too. We should learn from our past and we should plan for our future, but what we want to learn how to not do is not live there. Because you can't live there anyway. You can't live in the past. You can't live in the future. And you're kidding yourself if you think you can. Here and now is the only thing there is. Here, we're here present in this space with our beloved community. And that's where we are. And that's where we want our minds to be, where we want our focus to be. This one time, shortly after my parents passed, I was having lunch with my brother, which in those days we used to do sometimes. And we were having lunch at Tippin's. Do you guys know Tippin's? Is it around anymore? I haven't been in a long time. It's not. Yeah. So all things must pass. So I'm having lunch with my brother at Tippin's, and he looks at me and he says, "What should we have for dinner?" We're having lunch, and he says to me, "What should we have for dinner?" He probably doesn't even remember that, but it really stuck with me. Why are we thinking about the next meal while we're eating? Right? Why are we thinking about the next meal while we're eating? And maybe you don't do that. I've had a habit of, if I'm on a trip, thinking about the next time I'm going to take a trip. It's either that or like if the trip's gone on for a little while, then I'm thinking about getting home, right? I do that, and I think we all do that sometimes, where we're doing something and we're thinking about the next thing and we're not there. So my brother's not the only one. We're often thinking about the next meal and ignoring the one in front of us, or thinking about the next trip, the next date, whatever. This makes us sleepwalk through life and miss things. If you've ever heard, like, my kid turned 18 and it seems like she was just a baby, right? That's me. You've heard that from. My kid turned 18. And both my kids are teenagers now. And they still seem like little kids to me, even though a lot of time has passed. And some of that is because I sleepwalk through life. I do. We all do it some. Hopefully we don't do it all the time, but we do that. We ignore what's in front of us and we just let things happen sometimes too. So I'm going to read to you one more quote from this book, and that's how we'll close the talk today. He says about this sleepwalking through life and dwelling in the past and the future, he says, and I quote, "You need to recognize this and start changing this experience through meditation so that the mind becomes easier, lighter, and more fun." End quote. And I like that because we don't talk about how Buddhism is fun that much. And I think we should, because I think it is fun. Thank you for being here. I love you all. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you for listening to the Rime Buddhist Center's Dharma Talk podcast. Music was provided by Barefoot Brand Music. Please consider supporting the Rime Buddhist Center by making a donation at our website at www.rimecenter.org/donate.